Wright SBW Smith Athletic Park joint venture is proud to welcome you to the Smith Athletic Park project orientation. Wright SBW JV is the prime contractor on this project, and we will review the important safety responsibilities, requirements, and hazards to be expected. By the end of this project orientation, you will have an understanding of our general requirements as well as the project special conditions that require your attention. Wright SBW joint venture is the proud partnership of two companies created by our original founders. Our history spans over 125 years across the West Coast as humble contributors to the local communities. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Langley is located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Kwantlen, Katzie, Semiahmoo, and Matsqui First Nations. As part of our commitment to truth and reconciliation, we recognize the deep connection these nations have to the land and pledge to work with respect for their communities and traditions. Smith Athletic Park project, located near 208th Street and 76th Avenue in Langley, British Columbia, is focused on developing a new youth soccer complex, which will help create a place in the community for the enjoyment and development of youth soccer. Phase 1 includes the construction of 3 artificial turf soccer fields, along with site utilities, access roads, and site preparation works. Early works involve erosion control, stripping and removing overburdened material, and setting up temporary haul roads. The project covers extensive groundwork to shape the site to its designed subgrade elevations and includes installing a detention tank located on the southeast side of the project. At Wright SBW joint venture, our management have responsibilities and the duty to ensure the health and safety of our employees, subcontractors, and visitors. Identify hazards and mitigate with controls. Provide training and inform supervisors and workers of their roles and responsibilities. They also have the duty to prepare and maintain the health and safety program and policies and provide access to applicable acts and regulations. Our site supervisors have the responsibility and the general duty to ensure the health and safety of the workers under their direct supervision. And they also have the specific duty to make workers aware of any foreseeable or known hazards. Ensure PPE is available, worn, inspected, and maintained. Stop unsafe work. Investigate unsafe conditions and ensure corrective actions are taken. And consult and cooperate with management and the safety team. As a worker, you have the responsibilities and the general duty to take reasonable care to protect yourself and others at work. You also have the specific duty to learn and follow the safe work practices or procedures. Use the PPE provided, not endanger other fellow workers. Be able to work without risking health and safety. Immediately report any unsafe conditions. And if you are inexperienced, then let supervision know so that they can help you. As a worker, you have 3 rights in the workplace. You have the right to refuse unsafe work, you have the right to know about hazards, and you have the right to participate in safety activities. These rights are very important in keeping you safe at the workplace. The rules on every project are different because they're based on the risk and conditions of that project. So although you may have been on one of our projects before, there will be rules that are unique to this project only. Most of our rules are similar no matter where you go. For example, you must follow all safety policies and applicable regulations wherever it's from WorkSafe, the bylaws, or the Ministry of Environment. Safety is always the highest priority. You must report all incidents regardless of the severity, including property damages, injuries, near misses, and public disturbances. No drugs or alcohol are permitted on site, and you must be fit for duty and free from impairment of drugs and alcohol. There is no tolerance for any violence, theft, harassment, vandalism, or horseplay. Fall protection is required in all mobile elevated work platforms, including scissor lifts. Smoking, including e-cigarettes, is only permitted in designated areas. You must only use the tools and equipment that you're qualified for. Safety devices or guards cannot be removed, disabled, or altered. GFCIs must be used for all temporary power supplies. Everyone must sign in and sign out of the project for emergency purposes. You must follow the site hours and noise bylaw requirements. Regular site hours are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. If you need to work after hours, please notify site supervision beforehand. The Township of Langley noise bylaw allows for construction between 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays, and prohibits construction on Sundays and stat holidays. Follow speed limits posted in the area, as we are in a residential area with several walking and hiking paths nearby. Stay clear of the water ponds on the southeast corner of site. Only authorized personnel can walk in that area. Please do not speak to anyone in the media about the project or post any photos or videos on social media. If any of the rules or requirements are broken, you may be disciplined based on the severity and situation of the event. In most situations, our supervisor or safety representative will give you a verbal warning, a written warning, and then a suspension or termination. If the situation was severe, we would skip the initial warnings, and the discipline would result in a suspension or termination right away. When you enter the project, you will see 3 different colored delineators: blue, green, and orange. Orange delineators are to direct equipment and vehicles for the traffic route, much like you would see on the roads. Green means there's no access into these areas, and blue are the designated parking areas. Please make sure you're following these directions. If you forgot what the colors mean, there will be signage on the project to remind you. The basic mandatory PPE on this project includes hard hats, eye protection such as safety glasses and side shields, steel-toe work boots with the green CSA triangle, gloves that are appropriate for your task, and high visibility vest. The PPE used must meet the CSA standard. In addition to the basic PPE, you may need other protective equipment depending on what you're doing. For example, you might need fall protection equipment, respiratory protection, hearing protection, face shields, or welding equipment. The equipment selection should be based on your hazard assessment and safe work procedures. The site plot plan and traffic control plan provides the site layout and logistics, including perimeter fencing and emergency protocols. First, let's discuss the access points to site under the traffic control plan. Site trailers are located at the north end along 76th Avenue. All visitors to site are to sign in at the Wright SBW JV trailer before accessing site and confirming completion of a site orientation. To access the Hall Road, which will bring you to the southeast corner of site, you will enter off 212th Street and 77A Avenue gate access. All haul trucks, large equipment, and workers using the south parking area enter through this gate and access the site at the southeast gate. There is a speed limit on site of 10 km per hour. Current parking is located in the southeast corner by the southeast gate. Future parking planned for the northwest side of the site near the trailers once construction in that area is complete. Following the orange arrows will show you the direction of traffic flow while on site. Let's review the emergency response. The Wright SBW trailer contains first aid, eye wash, air horn, fire extinguisher, OHS regulations, and safety data sheets. The C-can is directly beside the Wright SBW trailer, contains a spill kit with a flammable storage area next to it. All contractors operating equipment are required to have their own spill kits readily available. Washrooms and washing facility located across from the trailers near the entrance. The designated smoking area is located near the muster point by the trailers. Smoking is prohibited throughout the rest of the site. Muster points. Primary muster point located northeast of the Wright SBW trailer. The secondary muster point is located in the southeast corner at the Hall Road access gate to site. Emergency routes. Red arrows with hashed lines on the plot plan show the quickest route for personnel to reach the muster point in case of an emergency. Restricted areas. Sediment ponds in the south are restricted to authorized personnel only. Fire hydrants. Located just west of the front gate and directly across the road from the front entrance. Site security. All gates must be secured and locked after hours to prevent unauthorized access. Plan revisions. As the project progresses, updates will be made to the plot plan and traffic control plan. These changes will be communicated to all contractors on site. There are multiple emergency stations throughout the project. Each emergency station has an ABC-rated fire extinguisher and air horn. Only fight fires with a portable fire extinguisher if it's safe to do so. Do not attempt to fight fires unless you're trained and confident in using the fire extinguisher. All fires need to be treated as serious events. If you have any doubt as to the severity of the fire, initiate the emergency protocols. To fight a fire, find the closest available fire extinguisher and take it to the fire location. Pull the pin and squeeze the handle. Start at the base of the fire and sweep from side to side and continue until the canister is emptied, even if the fire has been extinguished. Once extinguished, watch the air to ensure the fire does not reignite. If the fire cannot be contained using one fire extinguisher, leave the area and initiate emergency evacuation. All fires, regardless of severity, must be reported to site management immediately. During an emergency, the air horn will be blasted. The air horn will blast 3 short times to summon first aid or rescue, and 1 long blast to alert for site evacuation to the muster station. The first aid attendant phone number will also be provided to you on site, and you can try to reach them via phone for first aid assistance. When you hear the air horns, stop work immediately and head to the designated muster station. Make sure to turn off and safe out all tools and equipment before leaving the area. If you notice anyone working nearby that did not hear the air horn warning, please let them know to evacuate on your way out. Stay at the muster station until further instructions are given by either the site supervisor or emergency rescue responders. If you need to work alone, especially outside the site hours, you need to follow your company's working alone policy. The working alone policy includes providing training on the procedures and tools, clearly stating everyone's responsibilities. The process for check-ins and the emergency response procedure if something was to happen or if a check-in was missed. Regardless of your scope of work, you should have some type of training for your task. Training can be formal in the form of certified tickets, or they can be informal, such as in the form of reviewing safe work procedures. If your task requires any certified tickets, you'll be asked for a copy of your training for our records. There are many forms of safety meetings, such as weekly safety meetings, toolbox talks, joint occupational safety and health meetings, and supervision coordination meetings. Your participation in the relevant meeting is important as it contributes to the safety culture on our project site. Formal safety meetings are documented so that corrective actions can be followed up. There are 4 main types of work that require safety permits on the project: hot work, lockout tagout, excavations or ground disturbance, and confined space entry. Each permit must be approved by site supervision with the supporting documents needed before you can begin the work. For other types of work, you may not need a permit, but you may need additional training, approval, or special safe work procedures before you can begin. Inspections are essential safety tools that help protect you and others on site. They can be either formal or informal, depending on the situation. Formal inspections are documented to record important findings related to hazardous equipment, tools, or processes. These are often required for higher risk activities or specialized equipment. Informal inspections are quick checks you perform before using tools or equipment, but they don't need to be written down. They help ensure things are in a safe working order before use. Some tasks, equipment, or processes may require formal inspections, while others only need informal checks. These requirements are typically based on regulations from WorkSafe BC or specific company policies. On this project, there are typical construction hazards, such as mobile equipment, uneven ground, loud noises, sharp tools or material, open excavations, and live services. Our safe work procedures, training, and FLHAs are required to provide you with all the tools to effectively control these hazards. You should speak to your supervisor if you have any concerns. All workers are required to complete a field-level hazard assessment before starting any task each day. This is a crucial part of our safety process. The entire crew working on the same task and in the same area must complete the FLHA together. It's a team activity to ensure everyone is on the same page. FLHAs need to be reviewed after every break and updated whenever conditions or tasks change to keep the assessment relevant to the ongoing work. The FLHA helps workers plan their task, identify potential hazards, and think about the controls needed to reduce the risk. It's all about hazard awareness and mitigation. Once completed, the FLHA is signed by all participating workers and reviewed by the supervisor to ensure that everyone is aware of the hazards and controls in place. The FLHA also requires workers to inspect their personal protective equipment daily to ensure it's in good condition. At the end of each shift, all completed FLHAs must be submitted to Wright SBW supervision and kept on site for record keeping. Fueling equipment. All mobile equipment must arrive on site clean of hydrocarbons and excess material. Refueling must occur at least 30 meters away from the water's edge if working near the ponds. The use of a spill tray underneath all refueling activities to prevent environmental contamination. Controlled substances must be stored in containers designed for the product and kept upright in double containment, for example, in a spill tray. Also 30 meters away from any water. Ensure all containers are properly labeled in compliance with the WHMIS and TDG regulations. Spills and spill kits. All spills must be reported immediately. Spill kits are required when operating heavy equipment and should be readily available for the operators. Used spill materials must be disposed of as contaminated or hazardous waste. Spill kits should be replenished as soon as possible after use. Waste management. All waste must be properly disposed of in designated bins or removed from site immediately. Excavated soils, concrete piles, and hazardous waste, including contaminated soil, must be transported to approved disposal facilities. Liquid waste, such as concrete wash or paint residues, cannot be disposed of in sanitary systems or allowed to run off-site. Equipment idling should be minimized to prevent unnecessary emissions. Sediment control. Install silt fencing around site perimeter to prevent sediment runoff into waterways and neighboring areas. Ensure catch basins are equipped with silt screens to help control erosion. These measures are vital for minimizing environmental impact and maintaining compliance with regulations. While workers handling hazardous products must be trained to the latest WHMIS requirements, and a copy of the safety data sheets must be given to the site safety coordinator for emergency preparations. The purpose of the training and the SDS is to help workers understand 3 key items about the product that they're using. First, what is hazardous about the product? Next, how can you protect yourself and others? And finally, where can you find more information if you need it? All containers of hazardous products need to be properly labeled, even if you're decanting only a small amount to use. Make sure the products are stored properly when they're not in use. Maintaining proper housekeeping keeps both us and those around us safe. Please make sure to dispose of the waste in the proper bins, especially if it's hazardous materials. Clean up any debris that was created from your activities. Keep all the access ways clear of material and equipment. and please unplug and roll any cords that are not in use. Incidents may happen on the project. No matter what happens, you need to report the incident immediately to site supervision and safety, even if it's minor. The first thing we want to do when an incident happens is to help anyone that's been injured. Next, we want to freeze the scene so the investigation team can figure out what happened. We then need to immediately tell supervision if we haven't already. And then, when it's safe to do so, we can now return to work. Our projects have various degrees of public interaction. We are often working within or nearby the active public areas. Regardless of how close to the public you are, always make sure to do your due diligence and keep the project secured. Keep the project gates closed. If you must remove a fence panel, make sure the loose panel has no risk of falling onto people or property. The loose panel should be placed horizontally, and the open fence should be monitored until it can be closed again. Do not leave doors or windows to trailers and buildings open, especially when you're getting ready to leave for breaks or at the end of the shift. Don't let people in that you don't know. Keep your own valuables hidden away. Thieves like to target lunch trailers when they break into a project. Do not leave any tools or material in open areas where the public can tamper with it and injure themselves or steal it. Please stop anyone that attempts to trespass and report all suspicious activities. Remember to avoid engaging with public members. Report any issues to the supervisor to avoid conflict. Do not speak to the media and do not provide any photos or information to them. There are a few situations where you may need to call for emergency help to protect yourself or a member of the public. For example, if a public member needs medical help, if they enter the project area to steal, or become aggressive towards you, please call for emergency help at 911. On occasion, a public member may accidentally enter the project area because they're lost or confused. Please try to escort them out without escalating the situation. If you're not sure on what to do, contact site supervision right away. This project area may have disposed sharps or other drug paraphernalia from public use. Always be sure to inspect your work area before getting comfortable, because there could be an improperly disposed of sharp around you. If you do find a disposed sharp or other drug hazards, please don't touch it. Please flag the area so no one else will accidentally contact it, and then call safety for help. Please do not attempt to dispose of the items yourself without speaking to safety or supervision first. This marks the end of our orientation. If you have any questions, please contact our site supervision. We look forward to working with you, building a strong community safely.